Hey everyone, how's it going? Let's see, we already got people here. Looks like everybody's quick off the mark, faster than I am at least. Hey, Eamon, Peter, Arton, Crazy J. Oh, Crazy J's here. Yeah, Travis, Stockholms, Justin, John, Lockhart, and Soderbridge. Let's not say 3 hours Soderbridge. Let's try for an hour and a half, maybe 2.5 max. Let's go for 2 at the worst. All right. So get straight over to the above. So we've got a 4924 board, and it's come in with beeping issues. Unfortunately, doing the usual reflow, checking the signals, everything checks out. But it's still beeping. So I'm kind of, well, it's going to be a dead board, or it's or nothing. Anyway, so this is a 8 gig installation on this board, I think. Yeah, 8 gig. Now, I don't have the exact same RAM that they have, but I do have 8 gig on this 00165, and I should be able to change the strapping resistors on the 4924 so that it will work with this RAM here. So, and as a bonus, I actually happen to have stencil for this particular RAM, which interestingly enough was sent to me by Fixing Things for You. He sent me a bunch of these stencils the other week, and at first I didn't realize what they were, but on closer inspection it seems that they're all MacBook specific. So like we've got T2 stencils, let's see, 1534 stencil. I mean, who's going to say 1534? But anyway, if you ever have to do a 1534, that, some SSD stencils for, what's this one for? Just Mac SSD. Another 1534, including the CPU one. Now that is something you have to replace on the 1534 sometimes. 1706, what's this, more SSD ones. So yeah, it's a good collection of MacBook specific stencils that I hadn't seen before, so I was a bit of a surprise to see those. Hey Warren, okay, Andrew Hughes is here, Jim, Stephen Whittenham, and Ed, Muhammad Allah is here. Alright, so this is listed as a BGA 178. I'm kind of curious if they've got one on here for the CD3217. I haven't checked. 3332. Yeah. If it was 32 chips, I'd say no thanks. Crazy J. Well, just go check Fixing Things for You and see if he's got him on his website. I haven't checked yet, but he's probably going to yell at me now for that. What I might try to do first though is take one of these RAM chips off, or maybe not one of these ones, off another 165 or maybe even 3437 board, just to get a feel for what I'm up for. Hey Steve K. Yeah, let's see, what do we got? Now this is a 4 gig unit, so obviously we're not going to use, but it will be the same thing. So I'll take one of these chips off, see if I can reball it sort of satisfactorily and go from there. I suppose without further ado, get straight into it. I don't want to be practicing on the ones I actually need to use. For some reason I feel naked, I don't know why. I feel like I'm missing something on my, like glasses or something. Sort of these Hynix ones, right. One thing I did find with the 4924 board is just how difficult it is to get those chips to move. It's almost like I should put the board into the oven for a few minutes just to bring up the board temperature to like 120 or so. Hey, Azio. And the other thing I'm noticing is these are bigger than SMCs, so it's going to make it hard for me to get them off. Oh well, that's one way to get them off. Hey, Tony W, AJ, Steve. Let's see. I wonder if my SMC thingamajig actually works for this one. I'm just trying to knock off some unwanted balls. These are my biggest tweezers in terms of gapping, so I'm kind of shocked. Too big, too big, too big. Okay, these are all CPU ones by the looks of it. I haven't got anything of a suitable size. I'll check some of my other... So what have I got here? I'm just looking for a... So I'm just going to check my other board holders, see if any of them have something that's close. Hey, 10-minute tech. Nope, 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 nope. Everything's CPU, nothing's deep enough. I could almost use that one as a push, just simply as a bit of a hold. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it does at least have the right depth, and we can sort of make do. Looks like they've basically got the same thing on the A5 one as well. Not the A5, the 5S. It looks like the same thing. Oh well, you can sit there. Damaros, how's it going? Yeah, 9 o'clock, close to 10. It's my usual sort of starting time. Alright, let's clean this up. I gotta admit, this is fractionally low. No, that's gonna be a problem actually. Better to be ever so slightly higher, as in the stencil, not the stencil, the chip sitting slightly proud, rather than slightly recessed. And again, slightly recessed. I could put a piece of tape down on the bottom and that will lift it up. Alright, let's clean up this chip. Yeah, Christian, in this particular case, I haven't got a link up for the stencils that I'm using. Because I'm bad. So very bad. Ainsley. Just put a great big blob. As long as we can clear out those grey ones in particular too. That looks pretty good. Have you tried the square nozzles that have over the quick? Saw a square one, look perfectly sized, a heated chip. I haven't. Probably not likely to. I mean, yeah. I'm a little bit problematic in that way, and the fact that I don't experiment enough. My wife complains about that all the time, because what happens is she goes down to the shop, and anything shiny and new, like new food product or whatever, she goes and buys it and experiments and sees what it tastes like and things like that. Me, on the other hand, I scoff at it and I'm like, nope, I don't know it, I don't want it, don't give it to me, it's probably going to be terrible. And 90% of the time I'm right, it is nasty. But 10% of the time she does stumble across a really good find, and it becomes a new food product that we like to eat. I suppose we work well together in that respect. Hey Daniel, MM. When the big reset comes, what will you do to be happy with the universal income? Oh god, no. I don't think I could be happy with accepting that sort of socialist type thing. Just psychologically I couldn't handle it. Hey Barry. I wanna know that I'm working for something. I wanna know that my efforts, or I should say my income and such, or my rewards are based on my efforts. Otherwise it just sort of disenfranchises you, makes you give up on doing anything. You just become a sloth. Hey Pro Engineer, well, we're just starting. So no, I'm not really a big proponent of universal income. If it does come about, more than likely all that will happen is everything will just float up to compensate for the guaranteed income. So it'll just result in a nice big jump of inflation, I suppose. I don't know, I'm not an economics expert. I can't even make $1 million myself, so I shouldn't be talking. Oh, cream cheese and tomato on toast. Yeah, no, that is nice. Yeah. Teresa, you could for a short time until the market catches up. That's the problem. The market will catch up, and then it will be compensated for. So like prices will just simply go up, and universal income will become universally useless. It's a bit like if you watch Futurama, there was an episode, I think it was season 2 or 3, where everybody was given $300 because of some sort of great conquering of a bug planet, and every shop just went along and bumped up their price to compensate for the fact that everyone had $300 now. Devajish, the problem is that if you know that everybody, or if there's that amount of money guaranteed to be around, then it's just the market and the costs of everything will just float up to compensate for it. Within a couple of years, it'll consume everything that universal income is trying to help with. So, I mean, yeah, if someone's going to give it a go, I'm sure, but I just can't see it surviving long term. Maybe I should use one of the really big holes. So yeah, my concerns with the long-term prospects of the concept. Okay, it seems like these holes aren't as deep. Maybe, Teresa. I guess, like I said, it's one of those things that, yeah, give it a go, but I have a feeling that the outcome may be less than favourable, and then it'll just be more fuel and ammunition against socialism. Okay, I can't get this stencil to sit down properly because it's got these things here. I'm not against things like unemployment support and stuff like that, trying to help people get back on their feet. So it's, yeah, I'm fine with the current system as flawed as it is. I mean, no matter what system you come up with, people are going to exploit it one way or another. There's always going to be that element around. It's inevitable. In some ways, I'm sort of thinking, you know what, they should just do it for a while and see how it works out. But I will not be one bit surprised if I will not be one bit surprised if it causes a fairly decent jump in inflation, particularly in the retail sector. Okay, this might work. I'm not a fan of using the napkins. I do know about the napkin technique, but I'm just never been a fan of it. I've tried it a few times, tried to get the hang of it, and never ended up going for it. Just got to scrape off the old solder paste that I left on my spudger because I was an idiot and didn't clean it off right away. And now my spudger's all gunked up. And consequently, I'm flicking small particles of lead into the airstream. And naturally, of course, my spudger's not quite big enough to do that in one sweep. So what we'll do is we'll switch over to the other spudger, which is the plastic blade. Come to think of it, I'm going to have to use the metal one. I've never done these RAM chips before, by the way, so this is the first ever for me. Obviously there are people overseas in little shacks and a 20-watt light bulb dangling over their head who can do a vastly better job than I'll ever do. But for now, let's see what I can do. Stencil's bouncing, that's bad news already. I actually wonder, is this stencil, will you let me, damn it. I get a feeling the holes in this are big enough that I should actually be able to push this out, come on. Given a preference, I'd rather this be... Damn it, I'm just looking for something here. I'd rather this stencil not be attached. Like that. That's how I want it. Now the downside is, now that I'm thinking about it, that paste is way too wet. And that is going to simply just melt and then unevenly reform. You'll see what I mean a bit when I do it. Yep, exactly, Damaris. Yeah, I already can see what's going to happen, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, just in the top left there, you can already see what's going on. This is the... That was the wrong kind of stencil. The wrong kind of stencil for what I'm doing here. You can see already, it's... Nah, I'm not even going to bother. Whatever, I'll do it. You'll see what I mean, so you know not to do it. To do what I'm doing here, you need a stencil that has a greater separation between the pads so that you don't get this interpad bleed. Anyway. You'll probably get 99% of them okay, but there's going to be a few where one side will draw off more paste than the other, and that will be the end of your even balls. There you go. You just saw that last bit there. How that one got too much, and up here it's merged. So, wrong kind of stencil for what I was trying to do then. That's okay. I demonstrated why it's a bad idea. I just had a moment of hope when I saw how the stencil was pulling away from the chip anyway. I thought maybe this will work, but no, that's clearly a big NO. And I really should have... I got my air way too low here. Okay, we should rename this stream to how not to do anything. Okay, I'm gonna have to wash that again. Yikes, that's a little warm. Anyway, so yeah, don't do it that way. Unless you've got the stencil that's designed for it. When I was producing my own stencils using a vinyl cutter, yeah, I'm serious, you know, the normal sign vinyl cutters and things like that, I used one of those to produce mylar stencils for the products that I was manufacturing. And you would spend a good day or so just adjusting all the parameters to make sure that you got a fairly decent lay down of paste in such a way that it didn't cause too many bridges, but also didn't cause too many dry joints, dry spots and things like that. It was pretty hard work. But once you got the stencil right, then it was all good. You just cut multiple stencils and use them about 30 times. 20 or 30 times, and then you just cut out a new one and keep going with the manufacturing. You guys going to cope for any of this big superstorm system we're expecting to go? We had a storm cross through this afternoon, it was okay. I mean, there may be bigger ones come. Oh, look at that, I should have done it that. Nah, but this is too deep, that's the problem again. Damn it. That's interesting, I'm not getting the dregs off the edge there. I might have to use the soldering iron. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use the soldering iron to get those off. Damn it, and I'll just wash the damn thing. This isn't even one of the chips that I'm going to be doing. Master system. I think we probably got the first run of it today in that case. And it certainly was a little bit blowy. I'll definitely grant you that. If you ask me, I would say the stencil the holes might actually be a little bit too big for the chip, but I guess they've worked out what's best. Don't like the fact that I haven't got the proper depth here. I really don't like the fact that I don't actually have any tweezers that are just... Okay, I just utterly destroyed these tweezers. See how we go this time. I'm doing 330 and 15 on air. So it's very marginal. I'm kind of hoping that I don't get too much bleed into pad bleed. Yeah, I don't like the fact that I've just cooked one side of the chip and not the other. I'd say I should be using more air. I think more air, and that will allow it to cover the whole chip from a further distance. Oh, brilliant. Well, that's why we're doing test runs. High-tech FPV. I have 1502 that only boots an SMC bypass. Could be multiple reasons for that. Yep. Go on to the Rossmann Discord, into the Mac repair channel. Pelnova's in there, he'll be able to give you a better idea. I'm just a noob. Thanks, Jimbo, for repeating that. Hey, Keith. Does Flexboard have schematics for 80? What? Well, obviously Flexboardview doesn't come with any schematics or board views, but I do believe someone might have a 1080 or 1082. Actually, no, probably not for those. For a moment then my brain was saying an 1823 or 1832 or something, but that is not the case, so no. Anyway, for future reference, no, Flexboardview comes with absolutely no board views or schematics ever. Otherwise, Apple will come and give me a visit, and they'll give me a free visit in jail. The distribution of property that is not mine to distribute. And then I'll have some interesting cellmates who won't understand the intricacies of board repair. It'll be most unpleasant for me. Oh, sorry, Jimbo. Hang on there. Bad Cats is definitely the best place to go. God, goram it. Okay. Yeah, Bad Caps is definitely the best place. No, I still haven't actually got those parts. I sent a message to the courier company and they SMS'd me, and a robot SMS rather. It says, have you received your package? Answer yes or no. And I said, no. And I don't think they're going to do anything about that. They just send those messages out to placate people like me by making us think that, okay, the company's listening to the fact that I've submitted a request that I can't find my package. Damn it, I got a hair stuck under there. I don't know why I'm caring. It's only a test chip. Yeah, soulmates would not understand the kind of reballing that we're on about. Alright. What I really need to do is look at the edge-on quality. And edge-on, I can see that the middle has got more in it. At least left to right, the middle has... It's not a massive amount, but definitely the middle row area is picking up a little bit more solder. It's fun. They understand removing shorts. Oh, that's terrible. That's just terrible. So wrong. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take the chips off the board, the supposedly faulty board. The reason being is maybe as I'm taking them off, we may have revealed to us a bad pad or something like that, in which case then we're like, well, we don't need to change the RAM, we've just got to fix up the pads. Now the downside is that we're right next to the CPU, so that's a bit of a bad thing. Times like this I really do wish I had the... Well, I do have a 0.5... What do you call it? A 0.5 Barlow, but it's not really worth it. They would not use... Oh my goodness. Hey Pedro. You people are terrible. Alright. 460, 110. Let's get some flux. There already is flux, but... let's be real, this is going to take a lot more. This is going to take a full Rossmann of flux. Might as well just preheat a bit of the board where I can. Thank goodness the fume extractor works well. one. And just pretty much got to get jumped straight onto the next one. You can't really dawdle with these. Not that I've extracted RAM before like this, but just with the normal reflow process, given how hard they are to remove from the board, you kind of want to rely on the fact that the board is getting hot from the previous chip that you removed, so you can exploit that heat. There we go, there's the next one. And hoping the whole process that I haven't cooked the CPU. Come to think, it's going to be damned interesting trying to clear up those pads. Yeah, the last one finally actually went quick. Crazy J, I didn't get an answer from him, but I basically have given up. Okay, we've got some sort of persistent bridge of junk. Ah, it's gone. Huh. I say persistent, then it goes away. Brilliant. I'll do the bottom ones a little bit later. I'm just finding I can't get the angle. So I just need to turn the board around and go the other way. Like this. Okay, running a little low on flux there. So I need to go back and do those. Getting too much junk on that solder now. The flux has gotten a bit cold up at this end, so I'm going to have to bring in the hot air and get it to liquefy a bit more. Oh, that is a terrible mess. We'll get it though. It's okay, no need to panic too much. Just a little. Might help if I actually changed... Ah, come on. Oh, great. Random piece falls in. Fantastic. See, and downside of using lots of flux is you have lots of flux to clean up. That looks good. That's looking good too. Not quite so much this one. You can see when it changes, well, I can see when it changes colour, indicating that the flux has been cleared away. Yeah, this one's still got a little bit of persistence. Okay. Whew. Hey Ruslan, good to see you. Any thoughts about what will get changed on the MacBook's motherboards, the A14 coming? Good question. I suspect they'll certainly be a lot more like iPads. The whole power system will be quite different. So yeah, I suspect instead of working on MacBooks, we'll now be working on oversized iPads. It's hard to tell sometimes what Apple's going to do when it comes to design. I mean, there's still going to be plenty of things we can fix. Liquid damage, discrete parts. Yeah, Apple may start manufacturing all of their A6 and other such things, but they still will, to a degree, be using general purpose parts. I mean, they're not going to redesign their own logic gates or anything like that. I mean, I know they're pretty pedantic about manufacturing their own stuff as much as possible, but when you get down to things like MOSFETs and logic gates, things like that, then all that stuff, they'll probably just temperature sensors. They'll stick with third-party stuff. Because at least with those sort of items, there's definitely never a shortage of availability, and the manufacturers really aren't too concerned about putting Apple into a corner and squeezing them. I suppose my biggest concern will be with the transition that we will no longer be getting access to MacBook board views and schematics. That's my bigger concern. And if that does come to pass, that's not a problem for me. I mean, I'm already working inroads into other industries. Flexboardview and OpenBoardView, for that matter, are not tied to MacBooks or iPhones or anything like that. They are general purpose board view and schematic viewers, and as such, they are capable of working with anything so long as it's got a board view and schematic. Issues with iPads appear to be less than with laptops, so maybe less to repair. Perhaps. I guess we'll see. I suppose at this point everybody's sort of taking pot shots at what they think's going to be the future. You take enough pot shots, eventually you're going to be right, one of them at least. Joseph King, yes, we certainly will be. I've got more work ahead of me with the cats, always. Hey, I'm Six Skills. I just need to put all the RAM chips into a little zippy bag. I'll go down to Silicon Alley or something and talk to techs walking by and like, psst, you want some 8 gig RAM, buddy? Going cheap, fresh from a mainboard. You know you want it. You should team up with Hayes Manuals and create Flexboardview. You know, that's not a bad idea, Adrian, really. I'm already working with some telecommunication device people and see if we can't get board views for a bunch of devices. There's probably more people doing the work in the area that I'm looking at now than there are in MacBook people. Cecilia from Poland. I guess I've tried everything on this board so far. Nothing's coming good, so RAM's my last option. I'll give it a whirl. If it doesn't work, it's not a massive loss to me. It is a chance for me to try doing this. I am going to have to change the strapping to suit these chips, but at least the upside is it's an 8 gig board. You see, Nvidia's still buying ARM. Yeah. I'm kind of in two minds about that. On the one side, I think it's amusing for the fact that, you know, it'll really probably tick Apple off a bit. Or not so much tick them off, but just put a bit of fire into their competitive spirits. The downside is that Nvidia takes ARM, which kind of starts to encroach a little bit on what ARM's all about. So I don't know how that's going to go. There may be a spin-off of ARM. There may be other people who decide that no, they're going to create the new ARM, or maybe Leg. I don't know. Even though ARM is actually Acorn, you know, university type place acronym, not actually ARM. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see. Yes, it is. Hopefully we might defeat the 3 beeps, but, you know, like you said, it's probably not likely, but I'll use this, if nothing else, as to level up on some experience, gain some experience points. Might be able to help me do a better job of slaughtering boards in the future with the lesser weapons. I'd put my chances at around about 10% at best. Not exactly. Yeah, it's going to take me forever at that rate. Oh, Nick holds some paintings. That's pretty cool. I really should just warm this board up first before I try and take the chips off directly. I did think of putting the whole board on one of those tablet screen removal units, crank it up to 120 or so. One. Ow, that's hot. Apparently touching hot things hurts. Never knew that would happen. It's interesting, they go from being very rigid to coming off extremely quickly. There's not a lot of transition phase or anything. I guess, like with an SMC, I can usually feel it getting ready to let go. These, I haven't... okay, maybe I'm starting to get the hang of it. Just smashing into all the parts around it. That's cool. because naturally I'm worrying about cooking the part too. AJ, when you say power efficiency would go down the drain, you're talking about when they switch over to ARM chips that they find the overall power efficiency is going to drop? Because that's not a popular viewpoint, but it's actually one that I believe in. As in, I believe that to get the same amount of work done as on an Intel chip, people are going to find that the ARM chips actually end up needing more power overall. Mostly because ARMs are very good at certain things, but when it comes to extensive multi-process desktop scenarios, that's not really the playground of an ARM chip. It's not what they're designed for. So the only way I think that Apple's going to really win out on this is to have a lot more dedicated processing type chips. So like something, basically ASICs, very application-specific integrated chips, and they're going to hope that they have enough of those for the certain tasks that they believe the user is going to use it for, sitting around, that they can then win out by that aspect. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with, because certainly for general purpose work, there's no beating the x86 anymore these days, particularly not since we switched over to the AMD 6.4 architecture. That's a hard game to beat, that one. And they have tried before. ARM's tried plenty of times, particularly in the server arena. And yeah, there's certainly some cases where they do win out, but overall on the general scale of things, they just can't win it. Okay, Christian, Intel's going big plus little, more moving from the top down. I understand where the perception has come from, because essentially Intel's like a great big V8 or V12 engine. You know, they, at idle or low demands, they're extremely, well, I shouldn't say extremely, they are nowhere near as efficient as the ARMs. But when the load picks up and things get more complicated, then the x86 really does kick butt. I never used to. But certainly over the years it's just continued to eat up other chips. I think PowerPC is probably about the only thing that has a chance, but again that's becoming in less and less scenarios. I'm a little out of date with my architecture jobs now, but anyway. But yeah, I don't see ARM dominating but real general purpose performance for a while yet. But I think Apple's taken the gamble that most of their users want to do video editing or things like that, and they'll just have a chip that will handle most of that. Alright, a little bit of burnage up there. I've got to check these chips as well to see if there's any damage to them. So yeah, I think Apple's sort of hedging their bets on the fact that most consumers aren't going to be pushing the computers in that way. And yeah, I'm sure they've done their research. I mean, it's not the sort of move you make lightly, that's for sure. Doing an architecture change is a pretty ballsy sort of thing to do. I mean, sure, Apple does have experience in it already. And I gotta admit, they managed to do it the last time pretty damn well, all things considered. But it'd be interesting to see this time. Like in the past, I guess they were doing it for very different reasons to what they're doing it this time. It's certainly not really for performance reasons this time around. I think maybe they're a little bit ticked off with Intel's quality control, particularly after things like the 1534. And who knows, maybe maybe Apple will just continue to still always keep a couple of x86 units in their pipeline. Maybe they'll change over to Opterons. Huh. If only. AJ, I would not be surprised to see this change get canned through to the buyout. It seemed a bit egotistical to let Neo. Yeah, I guess we'll see, eh? The thing is, they've already started on it, so at least the way they're doing it is they're working from the bottom and going up. So maybe if things get a little bit too out of hand, or they're not hitting their performance targets, they can always just sort of stop and then slowly wind it back over the next few years. Intel's look ahead level 0 flaw. You're talking about the security issue? I do wonder about that. Personally, I think that a lot of the security issues that have been brought up with the Intel chips and AMD for that matter, in the x86 system, flaws that have come about simply because of the way they do the performance optimization or to gain more performance out of the chips. Realistically, I kind of think they've been overblown a little bit. I mean, yeah, they are legitimate flaws, but I think in terms of legitimately exploiting them on a daily basis with normal people, there are far easier ways to get that information off people. Just cut off their fingers or something like that. Hey, there's a dud pad there, right? And I think that a lot of people in the market were more than happy to play the shock and horror game, like, oh my god, you got this huge flaw, blah blah blah, that you can't even fix, it's the end of the world. I think there was more than enough people hedging or working on that type of pitch for their own gain, as opposed to legitimately believing that the flaw is going to affect them in any meaningful way. I mean, with my machine, thank God for Linux, I can disable that patch and just get on with using my computer normally. Certainly if you're in a very high security scenario, then sure, it's going to matter. But I'd say for 99.999% of people, it's probably overstated by a major factor. Hey Joshua. The mouse it was an ARM machine, but of course, did you look at how many cores I've got and how much extra stuff they had to put onto that? You got to weigh it up too, and I don't know if they specified how many watts they were using, let alone what their performance per watt is. So you got to factor those things in too, because you can just keep adding more cores, and then if your program that you're using it for is highly parallel, then yeah, you can go along and say, we've got the most powerful supercomputer in the world, but it may not necessarily have the most powerful chips. What was that? 7 nanometer TSMC versus 11. I haven't seen that video. What did they find? I'm guessing that basically there wasn't a huge difference between them. Because really, the whole nanometer scale thing tends to be more of a marketing label than an actual physical label. Because they just sort of go, oh, the smallest definable item is going to be this scale or whatever. But what they define tends to vary between them a lot. So yeah, I haven't seen the video, so I'd be curious what the outcome was on that. Alright, so our chips are pretty much ready. Good enough. They did an electron microscope inspection of the transistors. Basically in size they're identical. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, Intel may be getting a little bit sloppy and slack at times, but you can usually expect them to be... Well, often they have a punch hidden behind the coat. Like I see their new chips that are coming out, they're basically already back up to with what AMD is doing, which is not unusual. I mean, they did the same after what the AMD Opterons came out. I mean, the AMD Opterons, like the 248s or whatever they were beautiful chips, they really are. And they were very good performance at the time that the P4 was just simply sucking eggs. And most people knew the P4 was going to suck eggs because it was just a case of you can't run a pipeline that long and not expect some sort of out-of-order executions to happen. And sure enough, yeah, that's what happened. So in theory it was great. In practice it sucked. A bit like the Itanium and the Itanium 2. Oh, Bulldozer, yeah, Bulldozer, Pile Driver, all that sort of stuff. That was a disaster. So it was good when they came out with the Ryzen, of the Zen architecture, so it was like, great, they're back on track. And Intel's like said, right, good-o, here's our next card. And that's great, yeah, everybody's winning because we all get performance boosts now, and good pricing. Win-win. Do you know if anyone has done a RAM swap on a Mac Mini 24 to... I don't know. Oh, the Pentium D was... Yeah, the Pentium D was sort of like a bit of a distraction. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but they really did give the impression to their fanboys, as it were, the Intel fanboys, are like, look, here we go, we've got a nice dual CPU on the die or on the chip assembly. You don't have to go to the AMD ones. And yeah, the D was terrible. It was huge power suck, not that great in performance. But yeah, that's kind of lulled AMD into a false sense of security, and then Intel comes out with the Core architecture and just blows AMD away for the next 15 years. Right. Oh yeah, I've got to ball this, don't I? It's always something. I kind of wish I had... How thick is this? What is that? That's about 1 mil. It'd be nice to have some 1 mil circuit board around here. Maybe some cardboard or something. Well, I should get myself 1 mil shims or something like that. Cardboard's a little unpredictable. Yeah. Glass, maybe. Feeler gauge, that's an option, yeah. I did have some shims here before, I don't know what's happened to them. They're just like a little pocket of sort of like 2" by 2" shims. I don't know what I've done with them. Eternally lost, as it were. Just going to try some tempered glass. Probably not the best material to use. tempered glass is actually pretty damn close. Yeah, use 2 of those. I mean, they're like 30 cents a piece. Whoopee. Oh god, I'm gonna go broke. 6, 7G, 8G. There we go. Beer can. Unfortunately, the trouble is you have to flatten that out. Okay, you guys probably can't actually see that, but well, that's pretty damn close. Ever so slightly proud, but not too bad. And its natural resting point's pretty good. Now, I'm happy with that. There's probably plastic on them. Plastic's gonna melt, but c'est la vie. I'm still a little bit unsure and worried about how good these stencils are in holding off the heat. That's why I'm using some very low temperatures. But yeah, 2 iPhone screen protectors seems to work fine either side, so we'll work with that. Yeah, patented RAM holder. Ah. At least it should stop the unevenness now. Now, ideally, okay, I can take my hands clear away from that, so that's good. Kind of curious to see whether this is going to need me to hold it down. I really hope not. I'm going to go for 350. It's a little higher than before. And 25 there. 350 and 25. Plastic film's going to buckle and ruin it. I guess we'll see, eh? It's already lifting up anyway. Probably really should have taken that plastic off, I do agree. Well, we'll just do a dive in and try to get them to cook off as quick as possible. See how bad that plastic film has jumped around. Yeah, the plastic film really went crazy. It looks pretty damn perfect to me. We're pretty damn close to it. But yeah, I will take the film off anyway. I mean, the film's probably 5 thou at the most, maybe 2 thou. Not hot enough to melt the plastic. Shame. The reason why I do this reheat is because I can't be guaranteed that all those balls really did stick in the right place. Alright, that's numero uno. Okay, I gotta admit, I'm all of a sudden a little bit worried about the amount of flux that's coming up the side. Yeah, tomorrow, sorry, I will occasionally use thou. 40 thou to a mil. I can do the conversion, but sometimes when it comes to things like feeler gauges and stuff, thou tends to be the faster option on my brain. It seems that plastic actually does have a bit more thickness than I expected. Yeah, that plastic has more thickness than I realized. That's bad. Suppose I could just put it on the back side of it. So like you have two pieces of plastic on the other side. We'll not be saying solder without the L. I'll leave that to the heathens in New York. Oh, shoot. Yeah, okay. I think maybe this way is going to have to be the way I'll hold it down. It's really resisting the... What the heck? Hey Crazy Joe, take care. Well, I think I need another piece of tempered glass. Oh right, these only have plastic on one side. That's interesting. Now my biggest concern here is that this glass is actually going to go pop. So if all of a sudden it goes, then fear not, I knew it was quite a realistic option of happening. And glass ain't doing squat compared to what I was doing before anyway. Anything, it's probably just making a bigger mess. Yeah, bigger mess. No, I'm out. I wonder what's actually buckling. The glass certainly buckled. The stencil absolutely has buckled. Mongrel. Yeah, we're going to clean that up. That's a mess. Seems like the stencil does not like the slightly higher temperature, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I'm going to have to go a bit lower again. And I'm going to have to fix up the stencil too. Arnold G, if you don't have a fume extractor, then yeah, you probably should get one. But make sure it's a real one, not something that just sucks the smoke through a supposed carbon filter and then blows it straight back out. You want something that's, you know, got a really thick carbon filter, like a good inch or so thick, and then a HEPA filter behind that preferably. Alright, at least we managed to clean that up pretty good. Let's see. So it would appear that these stencils really don't like anything above about 330. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm very happy with the stencils in the thing. I mean, there's square hole to start with. That's brilliant. I wonder, could I put balls in here? What size balls do these things take usually? Probably too small. Hey, Penov. There's very distinct thickness difference there. Yeah, if you can vent to the outside world, then I suppose that's the alternative. Yeah, I do wonder what size balls you could use on this. I'll have a look at my collection of bowls. Maybe I've got something, I don't know, I think 0.25 is the smallest I've got. Maybe 0.2. I have a horrible feeling they're probably going to be too big. Point 0.3, 0.25, 0.5, yeah. If 0.25 works, then we'll be saved. Who knows, maybe 0.25 will actually be too small. Actually, yeah, 0.25 might be a bit small. About 0.3. 0.3 looks almost promising. I only want 1 or 2 instead of 50 billion of them though. See the little buggers just eager to jump out. Let's see if 0.35. 0.3. Oh, okay, well look, I've got 0.35s coming out of my wazoo, so I might use the 0.35s. Damn it, I need a chemistry spatula for this. Wow, it's amazing, you just can't... Yeah, 0.35 is probably where I want to be. When the trouble is actually containing the little bug. Okay, square stencil's not going to work too well, 0.35. You'd almost have to go to 0.4. I'll show you what I mean. RAM voltages were checked before I did any of this. Yeah, see the problem here, so like right here, you can see you got two jamming into one location, so that does make it very difficult to do an easy sort of placement. So you can't just roll your, yeah, I agree, Poundov, it is definitely, it's a paste stencil, not a ball stencil. So you can't just run your finger over the balls and, wow, that one just shot through, and hope that you're going to get a win of evenness, because they're not going to do that. They're going to want to do all this doubling up business. So in a way, 0.4 is probably more realistic, but it actually may be a little bit too much, and you may find that 0.4 causes problems in the reflow. So I don't know what I want to do here. I'm umming and erring a bit. For some reason they're not sticking to my... Let's see what happens when I roll over. Yeah, see, as I try to roll them in, I either pick up ones I don't want. Maybe it's a pressure thing. Just experimenting here, so if you're getting frustrated, tough. I don't mean to be cruel like that or anything, but sometimes with a lot of these jobs, this is the way you find out whether you can do something a certain way or not with the tools that you have on hand and the techniques that you prefer. It'd be really nice if I could find some damn... Normally I had a little tube of 3/5s. Have you applied flux on the RAM? No. Reason being is that I'm going to suspect it's going to be like the SMCs, whereby I prefer to first just get the... Yeah, sorry, just bear with me for a second, please, folks. Please stand by. These are very slippery balls. My table appears to be tilted towards me. If I put flux on these, when I roll them into the holes and then roll them back out, or if they get... all that happens is they become like sticky, and they start grabbing other balls from other holes. And so before you know it, you've just dragged out half of what was already in place. Anyway, this is a little bit tedious. For some reason the electrostatics aren't working too well with my knife blade tonight. It seems I'm not electrostatically attractive tonight. I certainly feel like it. Oh, there we go. Starting to get there. Shakes are a bit annoying. This does tend to be what happens when you're working on something new. You get yourself a bit of a case of the shakes. Ah. Okay, I think I've got them all covered there. No, I haven't. Right, now I think I'm good. Definitely going to be using some low air there on that. Let's see. And then we'll hit it with flux afterwards. That stencil is already leaping up. God damn. Does not like that temperature. Naturally, of course, I had great luck with my first... shit. Oh, we'll worry about that later. And that. Clearly too much air. I don't know how I'm going to get flux down on these properly. Okay, we're starting to get the deformation phase, so that's good. But I am a fair bit worried about... Okay, so that's deformation phase. This is really not working out. Yeah, I'm just dragging balls from one slot to another. This is no good. So we're going to have to go back to paste. This is, as they say, an unmitigated disaster. Back to paste we go, which is what they were designed for. Just got to find a way of keeping that stencil from rocking. It was worth a try. You don't fail, you don't learn nothing. Actually, it's not entirely true. You can learn without failing, but failure does tend to be a pretty damn good teacher. Except if you do things like drink bleach and die. In that case, well, your failure does teach, but it doesn't teach you. Captain Tate. How's Captain Tate going to help me? Captain? Because the problem is that the stencil is flexing upwards. Well, yeah, it's flexing due to the heat. So what I really need to do is stick back with the very low temperature. So go low and slow. But I can't put a tempered glass over the top because it doesn't really inhibit the bending, but it does inhibit the actual heating. Preheat stencil using air well away from the chip. Yeah, I was doing that, but obviously it wants more. What you really need is a press. Anyway, let's add some more paste. Try again. Because we believe in insanity. Tweezers on top, middle of stencil. It doesn't really, it just flexes around that, I found when I did it before. Like, yeah, if I do that or that, it just flexes around that. If I can get the paste dry enough, then when it lifts up, it wouldn't be so much of a concern. Because I can depend on the This is why I like the 3D stencils. They may still buckle a little bit, but they contain the chip and everything else quite well. Now I'm back to the problem of I don't have enough airflow to evenly reball it. Okay, well it's on the run now, so I may as well just go for it. Looks decent enough. Whoa. I could have ruined things there. See, there's a couple of balls captured from the last bit of fluxing we did. That's no good. Could have ended up those on this chip and ruined it. Yep, almost ballsed it up. So is that, we've done 2 chips now. Oh well, hopefully 3 and 4 will be a little bit quicker now that we sort of have an idea of what can work for what we're dealing with. Yeah, I saw that solder ball. I didn't bother touching it. I'd washed it off just before when I took the chip away. It was one of those cases where you go, well, I'm not going to mess with that until I've cleared away everything else. Optimize, yes, this is Yeah, this is an 8 gig. So, did I clean the other side of the chip stencil? Better get that flux out of there. Or the other thing you do is you just simply keep flipping this stencil back and forth. And that way you sort of tend to buckle the stencil evenly both ways. Warren, the patience thing's more a case of, I guess, at this point I'm thinking, well, I'm learning stuff, so it's worth the time investment at this point. For now. Okay, that's good. Actually, I've got more problems with the actual workbench. The silicone mats I do like, but they do have a habit of slightly bulging, and you get dregs of trash on them. Okay, we're going to go the opposite side of the stencil this time. God damn. Yeah. No, this is, I don't know who manufactures this one. I think it's a generic for hire type brand. Yeah, here we go again. It's a bit quicker than the first. Straight away, it's already lifted up in that middle. That's a pretty damn severe bend, actually. What the hell? Hey, Azio. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Funnily enough, that's happening as soon as I heat up the board around it, it's doing this. Geez, I'm gonna have to actually do this. That is not how I wanted to do it. Partially because it's burning my fingertips now. Also, because it's very hard for me to get in and around those corners. Jeez, I almost killed it then. I was very keen to pop up in the middle, flip this way, and the other way it was popping the other way. So stencil feels a little asymmetric. Nick, I have actually tried that, and I have found that it tends to be just as bad. I did have a couple of... I've got some of those universal stencils, and they were really warping out of place and everything, so I thought, fine, I'm just going to cut off the portion I need, and that should contain the warpage a bit. But it didn't really, it just still kept warping perfectly happily. Unfortunately. Oh, for God's sake, come on, get some flux over that end. Okay. All this, and I really don't even know if it's going to solve the 3 beeps. It's going to be funny if this board has a failure related to RAM. And by funny I mean not really. PCH issue likely, yeah. I tend to agree with you on that. But, like I said, doesn't stop me trying. And like I said, it gives me an opportunity to play around with reballing things I don't normally reball. SMC stencils certainly don't give me this sort of grief. Mind you, half of that could simply be because I am used to the behaviour of an SMC stencil, and the fact that I tend to use balls now. Pen off. Yeah. I don't think I've ever had a beeping 3437. Yeah, fun to watch, I guess, for some. For the rest of us, it's just nothing but pure terror. Thank you very much. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad, really. No matter what I do, I get an immediate buckle up. Well, let's try the center theory by Arnold. We're getting close to ready to roll temperature. Kind of running a little cold over there, boys. Yeah, Arnold, right now, I'm not taking that chance. I'm in full pressure mode, so Why is it when you have got pressure on a particular object like that, trying to release the pressure always seems to make things like run off to the side? It's like you don't have a directly perpendicular pressure point there. Okay. I mean, yeah, in theory it should buckle like more predictably and all that, but I think what happens sometimes with the stencils is that when you're heating them and you are holding them in the middle, what you can sometimes find is that the grain in the stencil can be a little bit wonky, and it will all of a sudden just pop flip, and you'll have this potato crisp on your hands. At least that's what I've found with a lot of the generic stencils. It's all good, it's all good, it's all good, and then pop, it just throws itself into the pretzel, potato crisp mode. Alright, so that's all of them done. Guess I'll put these aside somewhere. We need to put a spacer between them, otherwise they're going to stick and never come apart again. Shaming potatoes, eh? What's our time? About half an hour, but blimey heck. Yeah, we've taken a lot longer than we should. Okay, pin 1 on these is top right. It'd be nice if that was the case, Barry. A man can dream. A man can dream. Making a bet this won't be a RAM issue and CPU ball. Oh well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm putting a 10% chance that this will work. 90% chance it's really somewhere else on the machine. I mean, I'm certainly not thinking that this is going to be the cure, but I'm giving it a shot anyway. I guess we should just do these one at a time. And I need to put my shield back on. Oh, the zombie fuse. Oh my goodness. That was fun, wasn't it? Not. Ha. Yeah, Nick. Thankfully, I'm not going to fall for that one today. My biggest problem here is going to be getting enough heat in to get this to jump down where I want it to. I don't know how well these things pull themselves back into place. Trying to be real careful because there is a lot of flux sitting on the underside of them. Okay, that one's down. can see pin 1 there, buddy. It's a bit of a disaster, actually. Unfortunately, this looks like it's picked up half a cat worth of hair on it. That's going to ruin things a bit. Looks slightly off. It doesn't look off now. I did deliberately put it down slightly off, if that's what you're meaning. The board needs wicking. Yeah, given that we're already using balls that are inconsistent, I'm not too concerned about that. Why are they not? Okay, that's better. Thank goodness these are lead-free, leaded balls. I gotta change gloves. Now I've got to wait. I can't put gloves straight back on. It's not because of an icky factor or anything, it's just the gloves will not go back on straight away simply because of the hands are still too icky in terms of sticky. Bottom of the shot looks a bit further away. What? Bottom of the shot looks a bit further away from the separator. Oh, you mean you're talking about the one on the right? Because yeah, that's deliberate. The reason why it's deliberately slightly offset is so that I can see when it actually flows into position. Baby powder turns into baby paste. So yeah, I prefer not to do that. Besides, talcum's not really the best thing for you. Cornstarch would be more likely, yeah. Okay. The left chip I've done first, yes. I'd say it's just the lens angle or something. I've got to learn to stop touching this stuff. Half a mil off? Yeah, possibly. But this one's riding a little high. I mean, oh dear. We're gonna have to just play this one out because that has already sat the chip down. So we're gonna have to see how this falls. And looks like we got lucky and it went back home. There we go, now you're moving. Quite often these things go in 3 phases. So you get the initial shift, then you get the fake out, and then you get the final actual reflow. And the fake out is the hardest one of all to cope with. Because with the fake out, it sort of makes you think, hey, you're reflowing, but really you're not. You just, it sort of momentarily does, but then it sits itself back down again. Whew. Yeah, if it doesn't start swimming or wiggling when you use your hot air on it and push it around, then it's not quite ready. That was pretty damn. That's the fake out. Now I'll do it one more time. There it goes. There's the real one. I don't know if it was uneven balling, but just rather, well, as you mentioned before, you know, I haven't wicked the circuit board, so I'm kind of pushing my luck here quite a lot. Well, okay. Where did that come from? That's a complete separate ball. It's come from somewhere. I don't know where that came from. That's annoying. Certainly I can't see any missing. Oh, it must have been a different one then. The one I thought you were referring to was a drag as opposed to a complete ball. I gotta admit, I do love having this single-sided tweezer tip. It's really handy. Oh geez, 9 minutes left. Oh geez. I still haven't got the strapping to be done yet. I gotta work out the strapping yet. Okay, so these are supposedly 1600, 8 gig. So we want... we want a piece of paper, Paul. Nah, that's no good. Okay. So 3 is high. 2 is low. 1 is low. 0 high. Okay. Okay, so we want 0 and 3 to be on the high side. So 1611 and 1631 need to be present. And naturally, of course, that's in an area that's completely, barely even comprehensible. It's down here somewhere. Okay, looks like we've already got 1611 on high. Sorry, is that right? Yeah, 1611's already high. 3. 1631. Also in the middle of no flippin' where. Looks like that's present as well. That one there. Is it that one? No, it's okay. It's that one there. Okay, so that's present. And 1 and 2 on the lows. Okay, so these two here are the ones we want. 2052. Where are you? Oh, naturally you're under the damned seat. Yeah, fantastic. Oh wait, you might actually be... So which one are you? 1, 2, you're the third between the two. Okay, so that's not there. Which means... Okay, so we want a 10k there. I'm guessing the other one's high. I'll just put a dot for that there. $20.51. Okay, so these two here need to be populated with 10k resistors. And what are they? They're 201s. I'm not even going to bother trying to yank them across. I'm just going to get my own ones. 402. Did they say 402 or the 201? Bugger. Always. Let me guess. 201s are in the 402 box anyway. Yes, they are. Because that's the sort of crap that Paul does to confuse himself. You watch, I'm going to have to end up... Nah, give up on the universe, and the universe gives me what I want. Hey, Micromage. May as well put some leaded solder down and make our life easier. Who was the idiot that put pen down there? Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't ever think that. Even with software, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just feeling my way through it all. Just don't tell Lewis that. He'll have a fit. Looks like I'm going to blow my pumpkin time. Bugger. Oh well. We're close. We're close. We're very close to hearing 3 beeps again. There are 10Ks. I wonder what would happen if you didn't use 10K. Probably not a lot, since they are just pull downs, so it's kind of one of those scenarios where nothing really would happen unless the internal circuitry is actually a multi-level circuitry, as in it can detect multiple different like maybe you can have a 10k and a 100k or a 1k, and it'll have a divider on the inside, and it can go, okay, there's three different state levels I recognize there. But usually they don't do that with this sort of thing, because that's, you then got to have a ADC converter or a comparator, and it's just a waste of space. Especially when you can just simply have more pins. I could be wrong. Maybe they do it that way. Now, we do have to remember to go and remove the respective highs for 1 and 2. So 1635. Geez, I don't even know where I'm looking right now. Ah, right. Okay, I think I've got my space. So I think 1635. So we've got this triple here, that's that one there. And 1636, I have a feeling is this, yeah. I had a feeling it was going to be that one. So those two can be removed. It's a little bit tricky. Just want to give them some leaded solder to try and get them to pickle off a bit earlier. Because I am going to use hot air to get them off. One. Two. Alright, we're done. One very beaten up logic board that probably is not going to work, so yeah. Hell, the CPU alone I probably could have cooked. What we are going to do, so I don't have to put the speaker up to it, we'll just see if it gives us a CPU green blink. And of course I'll be watching the current rate and see how it behaves as well. So we've got 18 volts, close enough. And let's see if we get a pop test going on here. Oh, we get nothing. At least before it was coming up to SO state and doing the 3 beeps. We might not even get there anymore. Okay, we did get SO state. So we haven't gone worse than we were before. And now we just wait for the green blinks, which I suspect we're not going to get. Yeah, should have had green blinks by now. My guess is we're still going beep, beep, beep. I'll check the voltage on those strap resistors. What am I, ground there? You kidding me? Now the strapping resistors don't even come up with power? Is that what I've got problems with? Well, how badly have I killed this machine? I should be getting voltage there. Not. I was before. 3v3 SOPCH. Oh wait, no, they're the low ones. So that might not actually count in this case. Where did I put that pair of 10Ks? 0 and 3. Oh, that's right, I didn't actually install them here. That have I got the wrong resistors? Could have sworn it was these, but then why does that look like a ground plane? That should be 3v3 SO, but it's okay. I shouldn't say a ground plane, but it has got thermal relief edging on it. So it could be just that 3v3 is everywhere around here. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's fine. Well, just to prove the point, we will stick it in its chassis and you can listen to the sound of sadness. And even though this board is basically dead, I am still going to preserve its dignity and still put down some protection against the flux. Right, tried to do it a cheats way out and that didn't really pan out for me at all. There we go. That's all we need. Yep. That wasn't the RAM. Oh well. Yeah, these things happen. But that was a bit of an experience. Together and getting them reballed and all that sort of stuff, so we gave it a shot, didn't work, that's okay. I was willing to take that risk tonight. Under other circumstances, if I do check the boards and all the strapping seems fine and all the other signals are fine, and even it's beeping after reflowing the chips and it's still going, then I am going to just walk away from, because that's, what was that, 2.5 hours? Okay, if I did it more frequently, it'd probably take an hour, but an hour for what maybe is 5% chance, maybe 10% chance of it working, it's not economical really. So, alright, well, yes, I do have RAM VCC, I have 1.2, I have 1.8, and I have 0.6. I've already gone through and checked all that sort of stuff before I went to this particular stage. So this really was basically going to be a no fix, but I thought I would take the opportunity tonight to try do a RAM transfer, just simply to have a bit of a shot. But everything else has been checked prior. So, alright, I'm out of here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Who knows what will be. But in the meantime, you'll take care. I'll catch you later.